Hello there, everyone. This is Magic with Class. I'm Jeremy Class, and I'm going to be talking about the Commander Legends spoilers. So now the set is fully spoiled, so a lot of the interactions between cards are now known, so you can better judge the value of individual cards. So I will not be talking about every single card spoiled, because the last day had a lot of commons and uncommons that were pretty much limited fodder, that really weren't meant to be powerhouses for the format. But I will talk about a couple of them that I found a little interesting. The first one I think is Shimmer Mirror. That was a rare card that actually got downgraded to uncommon. It's a 3 mana Mirror, a 2/2 with flash, and it just gives your artifacts flash. Well, it allows you to cast them as though they had flash. It's an interesting card. It's interesting that it got downshifted to uncommon, but it is welcome because I would not want that to be the rare card that I pull in a Commander Legends booster pack. Continuing with the artifact theme, Foundry Inspector is a 3 mana card, a 3/2, that decreases the casting cost of all your artifacts by 1. It's also a decent card. Kodak Shredder was also reprinted, and that has some sort of competitive slant to it. Brass Herald is also a fair card for Golem decks, but tribal decks in general. Burnished Heart is a colorless ramp option that colors that do not have a lot of ramp can utilize, especially red and white, even though it seems like lately they are trying to give white more ramp, especially as a mechanic, as a come from behind mechanic. Overall, that's pretty interesting to me. A legendary creature, I think this was the last legendary creature spoiled, was Hamza, Guardian of Arashan. It costs 6 mana, which is quite expensive for a 5/5, but it does cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control, with a +1/+1 counter on it. So obviously you will be using this in a deck that heavily utilizes +1/+1 counters. This can cost as little as 2, just 1 white and 1 green, if you have enough counters on the battlefield. But it does have an ability once it's on the battlefield. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So this is a go wide type of commander that wants you to spread out your +1/+1 counters. That's actually pretty cool, I must say. Let me see what else is worth talking about. Ludovic Necro Alchemist is a card that was spoiled as well. It is a etched foil reprint, so it's actually not in the proper set. It's one of the cards you can get in collector boosters, but there's a small, tiny chance that you can get one in a regular set booster. I'm not sure if this card is new. I have not actually seen this card, but I could be wrong. It's Silverback Shaman. It's an Ape Shaman, which is a little unusual. It is a 5/4 for 5 mana. It has trample, and when it dies, you draw a card. I just wanted to point it out because I just don't remember ever seeing that card. So, interesting. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, this card was a common that was spoiled. It has Encore, so I know it's a brand new card. It's Finclade Fugitives. 6 mana will get you a 7/4. It's an Elf Salamander Rogue, which is a very unusual creature type. I think it's probably from Ravnica, because the Simic usually have odd creature types like this, but I could be wrong. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, and the Encore costs 5, so the Encore is actually less than the mana cost. And if you have 3 opponents, it'll let you put 3 7/4s onto the battlefield that can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so for a common, it's not awful. Volcanic Torrent is an uncommon that was spoiled as sorcery for 5. It has Cascade, so if you are just looking for extra cards to run in a Cascade deck, I guess this one is viable. It's not particularly strong, but it's okay, I suppose. It deals X damage to each creature and planeswalker your opponents control, but where X is the number of spells you cast this turn. So I suppose in a very heavy Cascade style deck, you will want to use this card. However, a lot of the Cascade decks focus on green and blue. A lot of the support for Cascade in this set was green and blue. However, you still may want to use the red ones. There aren't many cards actually with Cascade, so I actually could not fault you if you wanted to just run every single card that has Cascade. Let me see. I'm going to go on to the second page because I just don't see anything particularly great there. I'm going to discard, I'll discard this. Okay, here's another new card, Impulsive Pilferer. It's a Goblin Pirate. It's a cheap pirate. It just costs 1 red. It's a 1/1. When it dies, you get a treasure token, which is okay. And it does also have Encore for 4 mana, 3 of anything on 1 red. So, fairly mundane, I would say. This is a card that's actually more interesting. Frenzied Saddlebrute. It's also a pirate, an orc pirate for 5 mana. You get a 5/4 with haste, so that's already fairly decent. All creatures can attack your opponents and planeswalkers your opponents control as though those creatures had haste. So that's actually quite good if you think about it, because this is an incentive for your opponents to attack other opponents and not you, because their creatures will not have haste. Ooh, okay, give me a moment as I focus on this match. Alright, I guess I'm not really paying much attention to the game. Oh, I only have 11 life, and he has quite a number of creatures on the board. Let's keep going. Another card, an Orc Pirate, Fathom Fleet Swordjack, 4 mana for a 4/3. When it attacks, it deals damage to the target, to the player or planeswalker it's attacking equal to the number of artifacts you control. That's interesting. So I guess this is meant to work with the pirate theme of having a lot of treasure tokens. It also has Encore for 6. So it can do quite a bit of damage if you have a number of artifacts on the battlefield. And I probably should have done this before. I'm going to discard, I guess this, because I guess I'm trying to mutate for the win. Obviously I wasn't paying attention, or I probably would have made him flying before all this happened. Well, I do get a ton of triggers. He is trying to mill me though, right? How many cards do I even have on the top of my deck? 3. So he probably won just from... I killed myself there. That was interesting at the very least. So anyway, let's continue. That Orc is only an uncommon too, so not bad. Explosion of Riches. This is a card that a lot of people were saying was actually quite confusing. It's 6 mana, 5 of anything, and 1 red for a sorcery. You draw a card, which is already a little bit unusual in red. Then each other player may draw a card. It's their choice. Whenever a card is drawn this way, Explosion of Riches will deal 5 damage to target opponent at random from among all opponents. So basically, at minimum, this card will draw you 1 card, and it will deal 5 damage to a random opponent. However, if you have 3 opponents and they all choose to draw a card, that is 20 random damage to random opponents 4 different times. So we could do 20 to one opponent, or it can do 15 to one opponent and 5 to another if they all choose to draw. So it is a lot of damage for just 6 mana. The damage is random, but I'll keep this hand. The damage is random, and your opponents don't have to draw, but most will because they know that even if they don't draw, they are not immune to the effect. They can still take the random damage. Here's another card, Crimson Fleet Commodore, 4 mana for another Ogre Pirate. So I don't know what draws Ogres to becoming pirates, but I guess there are quite a number of them. I'm going to play, okay, I'll play this Pixie. It's a 5/2 for 4 mana, 1 red, 3 of anything. It has Trample, so no, not bad. And it's just a common, so you don't expect much, but when it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. There's a new commander, Jarad, that really kind of wants you to be the Monarch or gain the Monarchy in some way, so maybe in a deck that's really struggling for cards that will allow you to be the Monarch, you could do worse than this. But really, I'm kind of just being optimistic. I don't think that would really see play except for limited. Boarding Party. This is another interesting card. You know what? I'm gonna do this. Non-mutated. It's a 6 mana card, 5 of anything, 1 red for a 6/3 human pirate with haste, though, 6 power and haste for 6 mana seems okay, even with that 3 toughness. And it cascades. It's a common, though. Again, if I was playing a cascade deck using red, and I was just looking for every single card that cascades, I will probably play it. Next is Revenant, which I think is a reprint, but I'm actually not 100% sure about this one. It's a star for 5 mana. It has flying, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard, so it can get quite large. And I know the art is new because I don't remember seeing that type of art before, so that's pretty cool. Oh, here's another card that actually got downgraded from rare to uncommon. It's Guiltleaf Winnower, a 5 mana card. 3 of anything and 2 black will get you a Elf Warrior, 4/3 with Menace. And when it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target non-elf creature whose powers and toughness are not the same, basically. That was a rare. There are a ton of black elves in this set. I think actually there are more black elves, it seems like, than there are green elves, but that's okay because we're going to go over a partner commander for black elves that is actually quite strong. Alright, I'm going to mutate onto this guy so that I can activate my Shark's ability. Return that to the hand, and let's see what I get off of Auspicious Shark's ability. Okay, decent. Yeah, my opponent just forfeited, so let's see what else we got here. 12 Tracker, a human pirate. For 3 mana, you get a 2/2, and when it dies, you draw a card. But I think you will be playing it mostly for the Encore. For 7 mana, you can Encore this, which, if you have 3 opponents, will give you 3 2/2s with haste, and when they die, you will get to draw a card. So you could potentially draw 3 cards for 7 mana, but if you have a way to get this into your graveyard, maybe you self-mill it, it could be worth it because you would be getting 3 cards essentially for free. I also think this card is new, Spontaneous Mutation. It's just 1 mana for an enchantment or with flash, and you can enchant any creature. Enchanted creature gets -X, -0, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. So again, kind of for a self-mill type theme. And I think the limited mechanic for blue and black in this set is Encore. So that is why you're seeing that, I guess, cards that reference cards in graveyard. Even so, I don't think I would play it outside of limited. Let's see. I'm not sure if this card is new or not. It is Sailor of Means, a 3 mana 1/4 human pirate, and when it enters, you just create a treasure token. The pirates seem to be split between two categories: those pirates that care about the treasure tokens, and those pirates that care about dealing combat damage to a player for a ability. I think that's called the Saboteur ability. Alright, hold on. What do I want to do here? So this costs, what, 2, right? To ramp? To mutate onto this guy? Here's another pirate. I'll discard I'll discard a forest. Prosperous pirate, which 5 mana for a 3/4, and when it enters, you create 2 treasure tokens. So as I said, the theme seems to be quite split between pirates that want to do a saboteur type of effect and pirates that want to just focus on the treasure tokens. Here's another pirate. For 4 mana, you get a 3/3 human pirate. It's Azure Fleet Admiral. When it enters, you become the monarch, so a little strange. I guess that makes sense because, as I said, pirates want to deal combat damage to your opponent, so even if you lose the monarchy, pirates should be able to steal it right back. And the second ability even helps with that when this guy can't be blocked by creatures the monarch controls. So even if you lose the monarchy, you will still be able to steal it right back very efficiently. That's always nice to see. Here we go. Here's, I think, the last mythic rare that was spoiled. It's part of a cycle of 9 mana cards. Let me see. Yeah, I'll return this guy. And I can ramp now. Sorry, anyway, it's a part of a 9 mana cycle. I believe all of the colored ones were sorceries. I could be wrong. But there is also an artifact that costs 9 mana that was on a creature that was spoiled very quickly at the beginning. Here's Squad Captain. I'm not sure if this is just a new card or just a card that I don't recognize. Oh wow, I didn't even realize that. Thing got out of hand quite quickly. What in the world did he do? Oof, oh my, that thing did threaten to get out of control there. He's like ramping like crazy. So Squad Captain is a 5 mana card. 4 of anything, 1 white for a human soldier. That's just a 2/2. It does have vigilance, however. But when it enters, it enters with a +1/+1 counter for each other creature you control. So Limit Fada wouldn't play it. I think this card is new, however. It's part of the Slith cycle. Sliths basically get a bonus when they deal combat damage to a player. This one is a 3 mana, 1 of anything, and double white for a 1/1 flyer. So not the strongest. However, when it deals combat damage, you get to put a +1/+1 counter, so I guess that can add up. Here's another card that got downshifted from rare to uncommon, Slaughter the Strong, and this one's unusual because it's actually a board wipe, and usually those are at rare or higher. This one does leave you and your opponent with some creatures probably. Each player chooses any number of creatures they control with a total power 4 or less, and then they sacrifice all other creatures they control. So decent. Here's another card that I'm not sure if it's new or just like not a great card, so I just don't recognize it. It's an elf list Alana Bowmaster, 3 mana, 2 of anything, 1 green for a 2/2 reach. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may have this guy deal 2 damage to target creature with flying. I would certainly not play that card. Palace Sentinels enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. So in a deck that focuses on the monarchy, you would probably play it. Orzhov Advocates is a reprint. Open the Armory is a great reprint for this set. Allows you to search your library for an aura or equipment and put it into your hand. So search is always very powerful. And this set had a lot of cards that care about both equipment and auras. So I must say that is a pretty good card, especially in this set. Man, I'm looking through all these commons and uncommons, and they're just not even worth talking about. They're reprints, and they're not particularly great. Here's a card that, at the very least, I think is brand new. It's Benevolent Blessing, 2 mana for a enchantment aura in white, 1 of anything, 1 white. It does have flash. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a color, and the enchanted creature will get protection from that color. But this effect doesn't remove any auras or equipments that are already attached to that creature, so don't worry about that. So I guess this card could be a protection type card in an aura in a equipment heavy deck, but I just don't think that that's what that deck wants to do. Here's a new card, Alaharu, Solemn Ritualist, 5 mana. We'll have to discard something. 4 of anything, 1 white for a 3/3. It's a legendary human monk. When it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on each of the 2 other target creatures. So we just saw that elephant that works with +1/+1 counters, and this is something else that really wants to go wide and spread out +1/+1 counters. This has partner. The elephant does not. This also allows you to go wide. Whenever a non-token creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So I rather like it. Okay. Sorry, let me mutate this. This guy's probably like so annoyed. I don't think I need another. Discard a card. Sorry, because I am playing as I speak to you, so if you see that I'm distracted, that's probably the reason why. Because I'm literally playing the game as I talk about these spoilers. I see Carador Ghost Chieftain was reprinted. This is an oldie. I haven't seen this guy in a while. Costs a whopping 8 mana, and it's in white, black, and green. It's only a 3/4, but it does have a way to reduce its cost. It's 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. So in some sort of reanimation deck, this card might be decent. And during each of your turns, you may cast a creature spell from a graveyard, so that's pretty good. I'm going to mutate this onto my shark. It's just, I don't know if that commander is really strong enough anymore to be perfectly frank. Oof. I'm going to discard the spider. Under. This guy must be really annoying because I keep returning. This is like the 6th time. No, I'm just exaggerating. It's like the 3rd time I returned this card to his hand. And I will not mutate again. I will save that mutate card for next turn. Sisei's Ring got reprinted, 4 mana. It's an artifact, and all it does is tap to add 2 colorless. That is quite weak. There are just better cards. Here's another etched card, Zedru the Great-Hearted. This card kind of works by donating your permanents to your opponent. It kind of mirrors the Rakdos Imp card, which I guess is one of the reasons. Marath, Will of the Wild, was also reprinted in the Etch foil. Again, this is a commander I have not seen in quite a while, although I will admit it's pretty strong. Soul Ring was reprinted, I see. I mean, that was kind of obvious. In a set based around Commander, Soul is probably the most played card in Commander. One could argue it's the strongest card in Commander. And people are even saying that Soul Ring is stronger than Jeweled Lotus. Do I agree with that? I think time will tell whether Jeweled Lotus or Soul Ring is really the most powerful card, but as I have been told, you can definitely play both. And if you have both, oh, my opponent just forfeited. Viscera is another reprint. It's probably one of the strongest sacrifice outlets. It just costs 1 black for a 1/1. It has a vampire and a wizard, so there's tribal synergies there. And you're really playing it for the sacrifice effect. It's free and it can be done an unlimited amount of times and at instant speed. It also does allow you to scry 1, and a lot of people underestimate the importance of scrying. Here's another card, Guildless Commons. However, it's an uncommon card. It enters the battlefield, tap it to land. When it enters the battlefield, you can return a land you control. No, you must return a land you control to its owner's hand, and you can tap it to add 2 colorless. So there's a cycle of bounce lands from Ravnica that pretty much do what Guildless Commons does almost exactly, except it taps for 2 colors, 2 different colors, and it was a 10 card cycle, so I guess this is the 11th card, I guess, in that cycle, because this is like the colorless version of that, unless you're running a colorless deck and you can't run the other options. I don't think I would play Guildless Commons over any of those, because there's 10. I don't think I would need to play 11 in my decks. Maybe with the new Turtle Commander, that kind of makes things enter the battlefield untapped, but I think that's just stretching it. Okay. This guy played Cold Lotus Cobra turn 2. You know how hard it is to beat a turn 2 Lotus Cobra? This is very difficult. He played a land, he's gonna own. Is this a mono green deck? Okay. Elvish Visionary, so he's ramping. Swords to Plowshare, I see, is also in this set. That's a old goodie. Glad to see it again. Oh, and here's the final card in the court cycle. So there was a cycle of 4. No, there's a cycle of 5 court cards. Each of them allow you to become the monarch when they enter. This one actually costs 5, which is the most expensive cost in that cycle. And so what does it do? Well, as I said, it does make you the monarch when it enters, and at the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 2 damage to any target, so that's not particularly good, although it is every turn. However, you do have to make it to your next upkeep, which can last a while if you're playing with multiple players. However, if you are the monarch, it deals 7 damage to any target instead. And I don't have to tell you that 7 damage every single turn will quickly close out a game. You just need to control your you just need to keep control of the monarchy, which, you know, sometimes is easier said than done. Here's Jared, which I think I previously mentioned. He is a very interesting legendary creature and probably wants you to play a deck that focuses on becoming and staying the monarch. So when he enters, very unusually, target opponent becomes the monarch, but you do have the monarchy in effect, and you can always try to steal it from your opponent. You can't become the monarch this turn, but that does not prevent you from becoming... Ooh, so what do I want to kill? Yeah, okay. But it doesn't prevent you from becoming the monarch on future turns. If this card just flat out prevented you from becoming the... from becoming the monarch at all, it would be awful. So if damage would be dealt... Okay, he forfeited. I think he made an error there and just got frustrated and forfeited. If damage would be dealt to Jared while you're the monarch, you can prevent that damage. and put that many +1/+1 counters, so it makes an excellent blocker if you are the Monarch, because basically no creature, however strong, can get through it, and then Jared is left with a bunch of +1/+1 counters. I actually want to try this Jared Credalian True Air type deck. He only costs 3 mana, and the colors are interesting. It's red, green, and white. Green and white both have a lot of ways to prevent combat damage, so that's actually an interesting idea for a deck. Also, also these colors have a few Monarch-related cards. This set really helped with that. Next guy, another legendary creature, Captain Vargas Wrath. 2 mana, 1 blue, 1 red for a 1/1. It's a legendary creature, another orc pirate. Whenever this guy attacks, pirates you control get +1/+1 until end of turn for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. So basically, if you cast him one time and he attacks, pirates will automatically get +1/+1. And since he only costs 2 mana, you may summon him quite a few times during a game. He does not have partner, of course, because he is a multicolor card. So, you know, oh, I just got a new mutate card. I don't know. I think there are better commanders for a pirate-style deck. I think Admiral Beckett Brass is the better commander if I wanted to go like full-on pirates, because it also allows me to do 3 colors and allows me to use some of the pirates from Ixalan block that were black. I don't think there are any black pirates in this set. I think, ooh, a triumph. I think in this set, all of the pirates were blue or red, which is interesting. Next card is another legendary creature that was spoiled, I think, on the last day, or towards the end of spoiler season. It is Balboarka, Spectral Sergeant. And this one's he's weird. I know who Balboarka is. He was in the Ravnica story. He was investigating like what was going on in Ravnica. Someone was trying to break the guild pact, and he ended up dying, but he became a ghost, a spirit, because he had some sort of contract with the Orzhov, and he couldn't move on because he really wanted to know who killed him. So he does end up solving his own murder and solving the mysteries of the guild pact and who was trying to break it and why. He's a legendary creature, Spirit Soldier, 4 mana, 2 of anything red and white. So you note the converted mana cost of each card as it's put into exile. And then his power is equal to the greatest number noted for that turn. He does allow you to exile a card with his own ability, though, at the beginning of your upkeep. Should have been at the end. Should have been something else, though. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. So if you during your upkeep, you will exile a card from the top of your deck, and whatever that card you exiled is, that will determine his power. And then you can play that card, but even if you play the card out of exile, it doesn't mean that he will lose his power. However, if you can exile your own cards, or if you can even exile your opponent's cards, his power can still continue to change based on the greatest converted mana cost of a card that you either exile or, that you exile, or is exiled in general. Death's Oasis, what does this do? I just opened this in a pack. I'm just looking. It's 3 colors. This is a Coria. When a non-token dies, you mill yourself 2. Then you return a creature back to your hand that had less converted mana cost, and then you could pay 1 and sacrifice it to gain life equal to the highest mana cost among creatures you control. That's always it's fair, I guess. In that Carador deck I was just talking about, I think I would probably play Death's Oasis in a commander deck where he's the commander, so there's that, right? I don't think I'm going to play it in standard, though. Yeah, let's go into the Zendikar Rising pack. Yeah, I'm like really multitasking. I'm like doing so many things at once. Well, I just got a rare wild card. Maybe in a kicker deck. Maybe. I don't even think in a kicker deck. What does this do? Reduces its cost reach for a party deck, which aren't that great. Akiri, Fearless Voyager. So I think I mentioned that she is a decent equipment commander, but I think she's gotten overshadowed because there's an even better equipment or a commander in Commander Legends. So she could still find a place in the 99, but I don't think she didn't have much time in the sun. She was probably the best equipment commander for a really short time, and already Commander Legends kind of made a more powerful version of her, I would say. I could be wrong. Is Akiri Fearless Voyager better than the Commander deck, Red-White Commander, Boros Commander that works with both equipment and auras, the mythic one? I think he's the face of one of the two Commander Legends Commander decks, so he's not in the actual Commander Legends set. He's part of the two Commander Legends decks that will also be releasing side by side with the booster boxes. So here's Body of Knowledge. It's a 5-mana card. It's blue, 3 of anything, 2 blue. So it's another star. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. So that's something that blue and green probably want to be doing. Ooh, Speaker of the Heavens. I have this card, but it's a good card to put in my black-white or mono-white life gain deck. So you have no maximum hand size with Body of Knowledge as well. There's more and more cards that do that every year, I feel like. And whenever Body of Knowledge is dealt damage, you draw that many cards. So maybe you want to use it in a deck where you can deal damage to your own creatures and just draw cards off of that. Or maybe you wanted to place it in a Simic deck that wants to count the number of cards in your hand for effects like that. Also, if you just attack with it and it's a 10/10, let's say, it doesn't have evasion, but if your opponent blocks with like a 5/5, this will be dealt 5 damage and you will draw 5 cards, so, and then its power and toughness will increase even further, so that's pretty good. It cannot, ooh, a mythic wild card. This is pretty good. A mythic wild card means I can get any mythic in any set, so that's pretty amazing. Probably the best mythic you can open, right? Oh, and I got another uncommon, I believe, wild card. Let me see. Oh, I got a Planeswalker, another mythic rare. Garruk Unleashed, or Garruk. How do people pronounce it? Garruk Unleashed or Garruk Unleashed? Either way, decent card. I can put it in a green or Gruul type deck. Pretty good. I think this is the first Planeswalker I've actually ever opened in Magic the Gathering Arena. I don't think I have another Planeswalker, so I guess I'll make a deck that can utilize Garruk Unleashed. Not now, though, obviously. And I am at 35, so I just got another Set Mastery Orb. I actually have no idea what Set Mastery Orbs do. So let me take a break from actually playing MTG Arena for a moment. Well, let me check out the Mastery Tree. So, like, what do? You put them, like, I don't really get what I have 2 of them. What do you do? Just set them? And what, you get styles or something? Whatever. Anyway, the next card is another legendary creature, the first ever legendary rabbit wizard. It costs 2 mana, 1 white and 1 blue for a 1/3, and it has a tap ability. Each player may draw a card. It's a may ability, so your opponent does not have to draw a card, but why wouldn't they? Maybe because they're about to mill out or something, I don't know. Then each player who drew a card this way gains 1 life. So this benefits all players, so it's a friendly commander. I think people will be very happy when they see this enter the battlefield because they will be drawing extra cards and gaining extra life. And since it's each player, I don't think anyone's really going to want to remove it. 3 toughness for 2 mana is decent as well. It makes an okay blocker in the early game. The one weird thing about this card is that it's a rabbit, but it's doesn't have any red, and yet its flavor text and the description on Daily MTG for this card mentions that it's always in a hurry and how it really wants to be quick. So it says, why so slow? Why so slow? Hurry up. You never know what you'll find. Isn't that unusual for an Azorius blue-white commander to be talking about hurrying up and going fast? Like, usually when you think about Azorius blue-white, you think about slowing down the game. You think about maybe detain. You think about control. You think about all of those things, but usually you don't think about speed or hurrying up. So that's really unusual. Kwain is interesting though. Insurgent Meddler is his name. Kwain Insurgent Meddler, if I didn't say that earlier. Kwain Insurgent Meddler is interesting though because he meddles with the turtle, the legendary turtle in this set. So this is kind of a reference, it seems, to the tortoise and the hare. So these legendary creatures are new. I don't think we know much about either one of these characters. Maybe this is a plan for Strixhaven. Maybe a possible return to Eldraine will have talking animals, and this will reference the turtle and the tortoise and the hare, like fairy tale. Is that even a fairy tale? It's more like a fable, but I guess it could be a bend. Here's another new card. I think I talked about it a little, but I'll go over it again. Soul of Eternity, 7-mana card for a Star. Quite a few cards with Star are spoiled at the end of this season, so its power and toughness are each equal to your life total. So there's already a 7-mana, no, is it 8? There's already a white creature that does this, but it doesn't have Encore. This one does. Soul of Eternity does have Encore. For 9 mana, which is a huge amount, 7 of anything and 2 white, you can get a bunch of Soul of Eternity creatures onto the battlefield with haste, and they'll be attacking each player that turn, and their power and toughness will be equal to your life total. So if you have 40 life, and all of your opponents have 40 life, and you manage to Encore this, and your opponent does not have a way to block it, then you can one turn kill all of your opponents with Soul of Eternity. That's kind of magical Christmas land. That's not going to happen much because Soul of Eternity has no evasion, and it's just going to be unusual for you to get to 9 mana and still have a huge amount of life. But if you have just more life than your opponents, then this could be a one-shot kill. It could come out of nowhere, but probably not, because again, it's Encore. So your opponent's going to probably know that this is in your graveyard. So, I guess wait for a shields down moment and then surprise 1 or 2 players or all of them with that card. I see Muldrotha, the Gravetide, was reprinted in etched foil. Probably a great choice because while this card is from Dominaria and it's fairly new, it sees a ton of play and was already going up in value. So Muldrotha was actually in the story of Dominaria very, very quickly, though. Basically, the fungus guy, ooh, what was his name? That little legendary fungus that, like, the stowaway that joined the Dominarian crew. He basically manages to summon this guy at one point to help his allies get through a difficult spot. Here's another spoiler that at the very least is interesting. It's Elvish Doomsayer. 2 mana, 1 of anything, and 1 black will get you a 1/1. It's an elf shaman. And when this guy dies, each opponent discards a card. I like how it says each opponent. But this is a mirror to Elvish Visionary. They're both 2 mana cards. They're both 1/1s. When Elvish Visionary enters, you get to draw a card. And this card dies, each opponent discards a card. So that's interesting. Here's another card that I'm pretty sure is new. Feast of Succession. 6 mana, 4 of anything, and 2 black for sorcery. All creatures will get -4/-4 until end of turn, which is pretty expensive for that cost. But you also become the monarch. Another black elf-related card, Pride of the Perfect. It's 4 mana, 3 of anything, and 1 black. It's an enchantment. Very simple effect. Elves you control get +2/+0. So these elves are from Lauren. They're flavored. These black elves are flavored. These dark elves are flavored from Lauren Block, as they mention like eye blights and being part of the case. This is part of the the perfect case that the elves of Lorne have, which I think they're the most superior class out of all the elves on Lorne, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I read anything about the lore of Lorne. This seems like it should be a tribal enchantment elf card though, but they've said many times that they have discontinued the tribal type. However, 4 mana to give all your elves a +2 power bonus is fairly decent, especially since a lot of elf strategies want to go wide, and elves aren't particularly strong. So if you can get this out on like turn 3, you can start attacking with some beefier elves. Here's another elf-related card. Miara, Thorn of the Glade. 2 mana, 1 of anything and 1 black for a 1/2, so not particularly powerful. As I said, it's legendary, an elf scout. So when this elf dies, or another elf you control dies, you can pay 1 mana and 1 life. And if you do, you draw a card. So it also has partner. If it didn't have partner, I would say this card is not good. Yes, being able to draw is always a really powerful ability, even if it does cost you 1 life and 1 mana each time. It's also going to cost you a creature. You can use this in like a sacrifice build to sacrifice your own elves and trigger her ability multiple times in a single turn. But the partner allows you to partner her with a green legendary elf creature with partner. And I don't know how many of them are actually in this set, but I'm sure there's at least 1. You can also make a mono black elf deck and partner her with a mono black legendary elf. I know there's at least 1 that specifically works with tokens. So maybe. Here's Crom, Ludovic's Opus. We talked about how Ludovic was reprinted as an etched foil card, and so is his Opus. Humble Defector is a reprint. Let me see. Terramorphic Expanse. Gale Strike is a reprint. Oh, Chroma's Will. So Chroma's Will is quite interesting. I think this is a powerful white card. 4 mana at instant speed, 3 of anything and 1 white. So you can choose one of these 2 effects, but if you control any commander as you cast a spell, you can choose both. So it just basically gives all of your creatures a bunch of keywords. The first effect of this card grants your creatures flying, vigilance, and double strike. So that's pretty good. And the second ability on this card will grant your creatures lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors, which is excellent, until end of turn. So if you control a commander and you cast this, your creatures will gain flying, vigilance, double strike, lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors, which is quite a number of keywords to grant all of your creatures for a mere 4 mana. And this is a pretty good protection spell as well, as it'll give all your creatures protection from colors and indestructible, even if you don't control your commander, if you choose that second option. Obviously, this is called a Chroma's Will because it's flavored around a chroma. Chroma has always been about keywords. The original Chroma had like almost every evergreen keyword at the time. It even had haste, and haste is not a white ability. So the new Achroma, called Achroma Vision of Ixidor, is a 6/6 for 7 mana, so it's pretty expensive, 5 of any color and 2 white. It's a legendary angel.